to weigh the pros and cons of each individual candidate, and you can't do that with restrictions placed by Harry Reid. Number one, Harry Reid will not be the leader of the Democrats in the Senate after this election. In fact, I don't know that there will be a Democrat in his seat, as he's not running for re-election. And right now, every Republican in that primary is doing better than every Democrat in that primary. So that's a seat that I think can switch. But it is a toss-up state, and you just never know. I mean,
well, that's for sure. I mean,
you just never know.
Who would have thought? I mean, seriously, you go back and you poll the commentators, the strategists, the projectionists of this campaign, and not many of them predicted that Donald Trump would be the candidate of choice for the Republican Party. So predictions have been blown out of the water.
Right.
This has just been an election like none other. And, I mean, I know I respect what you've said about, because you always take us back to revisit history. And so it has been, it does kind of mirror some, but it really has surprised most people.
It has.
And so, I think that we're not done with surprises. That's what I think.
No, and I think that, honestly, because of a lot of the things, and I think that a lot of congressional leaders are going to be skeptical to get involved in both nominees' campaigns, because
I sense that.
This is not going to be an election you can predict, and someone who already holds office is very unlikely to risk that office in order to go for another one where you really, I mean, you wouldn't put a bet on it. Let's put it that way. You wouldn't put a bet on who's going to win today. So I think that she will get somebody from the old guard of the Democratic Party. I hate to say, I will come out and tell you now, I do not think there's any way that she picks Bernie Sanders. I know that is going to be very devastating to a lot of people because I get emails all the time about the fact that, well, I still have hope because Bernie might be the VP.
No,
I'm sorry.
I don't see that.
Well, no, because honestly, I think he would, number one, I think he would not be able not to call her out on things. Because he's called her out on a lot of stuff on this election and has really shown a lot of different things. And I just don't think he could do it. Personal opinions aside, I really just don't, because the one thing we've said over and over again is he doesn't hide his opinion.
No, he doesn't.
He's upfront and honest.
You have to respect him for that. I mean, you really do have to respect Bernie Sanders for that. He's very transparent. He's very honest. I just don't agree with his style of leadership. And but there are aspects of his person that I do appreciate, and that integrity is one of them. I just wish that he thought differently.
Yeah, he has exactly. But like you were saying, a lot of people are tired of the discussion, tired of the governing. Well, those discussions are going to have to come. The governing has to come from Congress. We keep putting a lot of our hope. We put a lot of hope. A lot of people put a lot of hope in President Obama. The president really just doesn't have that much power. Okay.
Oh, really? Wait a minute.
And yes, he doesn't.
I know, but oh my goodness, Garrett, it feels like it every time he signs one of those stupid executive orders that he does. I said stupid.
Yes.
Don't say stupid, but I did. I mean, seriously, if he signs another executive order that is just ridiculous, I don't know. I'm like, I am so done with those. I'm done with them. We all are. But he's still doing it, and he's not done. He's not done yet.
And that's one of the reasons why you see a lot of popularity for Bernie Sanders, who's been against executive orders and executive action for a long time. And you see a lot of popularity for Donald Trump. Donald Trump says that he would not continue these things. However, one of the things that I would advise Mr. Trump if I were advising him would be to say, quit saying that you're not going to do it, because a lot of the things he's promising, if he wants it done when he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it. And then that's something that we're going to have to weigh, because how much of that are we willing to do from our side? Because once again, it's going against the executive overreach there. And that's where the VP pick comes in for him. You need someone who knows how to pass legislation, who knows how to introduce legislation. There's been a lot of talk about Senator Bob Corker because he spent an hour with him.
Yes.
He's the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee from Tennessee.
Well, he's sifting right now, isn't he?
Well,
Trump is sifting.
He is.
He's looking.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see who kind of comes to the top, because we really just don't know. The vetting is done, but we really don't know the answers yet, because they're kind of keeping that under the wraps, which they should.
And I think they should.
Well, no, you should. Both parties should let it stay until the convention.
Right. And that's coming up.
Yes.
It's coming up. Guys, 571-2428, join us on this chatter and talk to us about what you think about this presidential campaign. Don't go away.
WFIA, The Spirit. Home equity loans are the perfect way to make any home improvement project come to life. Rates are low, and the interest is often tax deductible. For a limited time, Class Act Credit Union is offering zero closing costs on any home equity loan. Choose the flexibility of a home equity line of credit, or the certainty of a fixed rate second mortgage, or both, and pay no closing costs. Rates have never been lower. Call Class Act today at 964-7575. Equal Housing Lender. NMLS number 403005.
When tragedy strikes Kentucky law enforcement officers and their families, you can help by displaying a law enforcement memorial license plate on your car or donating online. Log on to the memorial website at klemf.org today. Proceeds go directly to the families of officers killed in the line of duty and provide college scholarships for their children. Sponsored by the Kentucky Law Enforcement Memorial Foundation and aired in cooperation with the Kentucky Broadcasters Association and this station. Visit and donate at klemf.org today.
People write off the idea of spiritual warfare by saying it's all in your head. Well, Dr. Tony Evans says that's true to a point. He takes us to 2 Corinthians 10 as we spend 2 minutes with Tony.
Paul says that our methods are not fleshly because our enemy is not fleshly. When you wrestle with something day in and day out, week in and week out, believe me, that's a battle no matter what other name you give to it. And if God speaks to it, it is a spiritual battle. The crisis of the problem demands another kind of help. Now follow this. The source of your spiritual battles find their root in your mind. Until you fix your head, you will never solve the problem with your feet. Until you fix your head, you won't solve the problem with popping that needle or that pill. It starts in the mind. You say, how do you know? Because it has to do, chapter 10 says, with speculations, verse 5, the knowledge of God, verse 5, and taking every thought captive. Now, where do speculations come from? The mind. Where is knowledge rooted in? The mind. Where do thoughts come from? The mind. So, in order for you to get released from your POW status, being trapped by hell, when you've been born again by heaven, is to learn to think differently.
Learn more about the battle going on behind the scenes of your life. Request a copy of Dr. Evans' book, Victory in Spiritual Warfare. It'll not only teach you what the Bible has to say about our fight against the devil and his influence, you'll find the real-life help you've been looking for. Visit us at tonyevans.org for details. Then be sure to join us next time for 2 Minutes with Tony.
My name's Danielle, and I've gone to Christian Academy since kindergarten, but now I'm a senior. There's so many different things you can do. The academics are top-notch. There's great sports programs all around. I also participate in the drama program. I think I'll have a great advantage going into college. And the mission program at Cal, it's different than so many other schools. I went with a team of about 20 around La Paz, Honduras. We took medicine. We had a medicine drive at school. For some of these people, this is a once-a-year thing. The Hondurans didn't have really anything by, I guess, America's standards, yet they seemed to me to have everything because they were so loving and they had Christ. It was just a really awesome experience because it was just so humbling, I think. If this sounds right for your family, check out Christian Academy's website or call and schedule a tour. Can't imagine what life would be without Christian Academy.
You're listening to Just Ask Joyce on WFIA, The Spirit.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Gary King is here. We're talking about Election Selection 2016. We're just talking about the happenings of this campaign. And Gary, you were actually here, I say here, you were in line. Was it last week?
Oh, well, actually, I was able to go in. I was already